Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Snake Armor He-Man. That is right, my friends. Some more influence from the 2000X era has come into Origins. This one's pretty exciting because this is one of those outfits that was designed specifically for the Mike Young Productions cartoon series and the toy line that accompanied it back in 2002, 2003, and now it's being brought into the vintage form factor, and I think that is just really, really cool. Now, of course, he does come on the standard blister card packaging, but with the new Snake Men theme to it. So this is the new theme that's ongoing with the Origins line, kind of like our refresh for the brand. So while it still has the bursting rocks, it also has the cool Snake Men logo at the top and the snake skin there, and we've got the Snake Men sticker on the blister bubble. As we rotate this around to the backside, you can see we've got a cross-cell that says Rise of the Snake Men. Of course, our Snake Men themed waves there. And then at the very top, we've got some beautiful artwork of Snake Armor He-Man going into battle with Snake Face and Squeeze. And that's awesome because we haven't seen these two specifically announced yet. So it's always cool to see the little hints in the artwork there. I can't wait to see how they handle Squeeze eventually with those big long arms. So let's go and get this guy opened up outside of the packaging, and we will get a closer look at him. All right, let's go ahead and look at our Snake Armor He-Man outside of the packaging. With the tape measure, you can see that he does stand close to the 6-inch mark. Of course, these figures are in that vintage 5.5 styling, but, you know, the added articulation allows them to bend their knee, something the vintage figures could not do. This is a really cool thing, because this is another one of those instances where we're seeing an idea that was created for a later version of He-Man, in this case, the 2000X He-Man line, and now it's brought back into the vintage action figure styling, and I absolutely love that. While there were many variants of He-Man in that 2000X series, the Snake Armor here was one that was prominent in the show, and one that fans liked. This idea looked cool, this armor looked cool, so I do think it's awesome that this particular armor here, this particular variant is living on, and now we've got a proper vintage style version of the armor. That is really cool. This, of course, is one of those things where it seems like every time they try to reboot He-Man, they try to put clothes on him. So that's what's kind of going on here, but it is a really cool look for the character. And seeing the way that they recreated this in Origins and kind of vintage-ified it is really, really neat. So for the most part, the armor itself all the way around is molded in this nice silver plastic, and it's got a good shine to it, but it is worth noting that a lot of it is left unpainted. There are some painted details on here, like they did paint the He-Man emblem there on the chest. We got a little bit of gold over here on the armor on the forearm, but a lot of this is left unpainted. So you can actually see there's some sculpted straps on here. The anti-Snake Men logo on the belt was left unpainted. So not quite as much paint as we got even in the 2000X era of toys, but it doesn't look bad by any means. I do think this still looks like a really nice figure. The head is the same that we saw for the recent 2000X inspired He-Man in Origins. It's a cool amalgamation of using the vintage style face, but with the haircut from the 2000X era, and it works on this. It's a good way to keep it true to what we've already seen in this particular line. And the way that they did the armor is actually really interesting here. So this does all appear to be part of a new torso sculpt, or maybe not necessarily the torso itself, but the armor is kind of built onto the torso, and it's not made to be removable on this particular figure. So you can see it is just the standard torso on the inside, but the armor is kind of form fit to it and it doesn't come off. However, the wrist armor here, which is for the claw that we're going to show you in just a bit, that is a separate piece that just goes on over this particular forearm here. So that's a really interesting way to do that as well. But I like this. I think this looks really nice. It is worth noting you can take the belt off the waist if you disconnect the figure at the midsection, and you've got that 2000X style loincloth there, like from that figure, with the pouch on the back and the belt there. So this is really nice. I like the way that this all works. And of course, it functions exactly like you would expect it to, with the same style of articulation. Even though he's got this armor over the shoulder, it's soft and pliable. It moves a little bit, so it doesn't hinder any of that motion. So the arms can still go outwards, forwards, backwards. You can still pop the arms off at the shoulders there. You got the bends at the elbow, the swivels at the elbow, swivel at the wrist, hinge at the wrist. The hands can pop out as well. I showed you guys how you can disconnect at the torso. Legs can go outwards, forwards, backwards, swivel at the knee, bend at the knee, and then you still have a swivel at the boot cut here, which just cuts in the middle of his armor there, and then the ankles forwards and backwards and side to side. So all the articulation is exactly what you would expect, and it's a very cool looking figure. Now for accessories, this is that claw that I mentioned. And this is kind of cool. This wasn't like a detachable thing on the original 2000X figure. It was like an action feature where you'd push a button and it would extend. On the Origins one, they just made the whole thing removable. So it just plugs right there into that piece of armor on his wrist. And now he's got the claw for grabbing onto the snake men as he's fighting them, which is a really nice touch. And of course, he comes with the same style 2000X power sword that we saw with the other version here. I feel the same way about it this time around. It's the same thing. It's molded in a solid silver color. Could definitely use some more color. Could definitely also be a little bit bigger because it feels on the smaller side compared to how that sword is supposed to be. But otherwise, same sword we already got, and that was totally expected. So there we go. Our Snake Armor He-Man. All right, guys, it's comparison time. Let's go ahead and stand him alongside that original figure from the 2002 toy line, so you can see these guys standing side by side. You can see what I was talking about. There's a lot more colors on the 2002 one, but he was also in a weird stance. He didn't stand very good, so his legs are in a weird position. Also, when I say that the sword should be a little bit bigger, I don't mean that big. That one in the 2002 era that came with this particular figure had a weird rocket launching gimmick, which made the sword way too big and oversized. He can't even hold it proper. So that's not what I meant at all. Now, this version of He-Man also got a variant in the Classics line, so I want to show that here as well, just because I think it's important to show these guys side by side, so you can see two different takes on the 2000X armor there, in a now vintage style and in the 7-inch collector style. So there you go, my friends. That is a look at the new Snake Armor He-Man. I have always really liked this variant, and as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm happy to see it now in a vintage action figure style. I think all in all, this one turned out pretty good. Maybe could use a little bit more paint deco, but I know I'm being nitpicky when I say things like that, because otherwise, super fun figure, and I like that he has been included with this new Snake Men motif currently going on in the Origins lineup. So he's part of the latest wave that is shipping now. I ordered mine through BigBadToyStore.com. Otherwise, keep checking your retail stores. Happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.